So we argued at that time that the amount of money that was budgeted, that was planned for scientific exploration, scientific utilization, should be increased. I don't think it was increased anywhere near enough. So I really think that the limitation on scientific use of the space station is largely the budget available to develop the scientific apparatus to bring to the space station, and not the desire to do it. But let me also say that there's something that we've almost completely lost, which is the use of the space station as an engineering test bed to bring up new technologies, to learn to work in space, to provide information about life support and artificial gravity and construction of large objects in space. So I think there's another part that we could also use the space station.
Well, Professor Crawley, welcome to Moscow State University. It's a pleasure.
We are proud of our university, and we wish you to build a university of comparable significance in Russia and Skolkovo, and we look forward to interactions, mutually beneficial interactions. And in this regard, I have a question related to the research centers which are currently under consideration in the process of building up. And actually, I have two questions, but they are about the same. This is about the Skolkovo Tech faculty. While building the center, we are expected to interact with the Skolkovo Tech faculty. Now the question comes up, how are those faculty selected? Those faculty are probably selected based on the peer review, based on research committees, and this is an independent process implemented by Skolkovo Tech. At the same time, we are asked to engage faculty in research centers. So if those are selected independently of research centers, there is a logistical problem. Or research centers are expected to take participation in selection of these faculties. This is my first implementation question. The second question is more, I would say, political and strategical. There is a concern which was expressed on very high levels that Skolkovo Tech will deplete most talented faculties, let's say from Moscow State University. Obviously, Moscow State is big, but even in the best years, better years than today, taking away a few brilliant people, young or mature, would be devastating. So in this regard, it's good that both Prorector Koklov and yourself are staying together. Do you envision the joint collaborative policies, which, for example, would allow Moscow State faculty to have joint appointments in Skolkovo Tech? This way we could encourage, especially our young people, to take positions in Skolkovo Tech while still contributing to Moscow State.
Those are two related and excellent questions. Let me try to give as clear an answer as I can to both of them. The first one, you're absolutely right. You know, we're in one of these problems which in English is called chicken and egg, right? That we need the faculty to do the research, and we need the research centers who will be engaged with the faculty. And there's no simple way through this. There's actually a third component, right? Because there's also a foresight process to try and envision in what fields you want to invest 200 professors if you're building a 21st century university. So there's really three things in sequence here. There's the selection of the research centers, the development of the foresight, and the selection of the faculty. And I can only really describe them as cyclical. You know, that will do what is sometimes called spiral development. You know, we engage with the people about the research centers, we see what the interesting ideas are, then we write the next advertisement for faculty selection, which incorporates, you know, what some of the important ideas that have come from the foresight, and we start to attract faculty, we start to interact with the research centers, but then the research centers also have an obligation to help us identify key faculty who would go to Skolkovo Tech. And we go around this, you know, for 3 or 4 years, and at the other end, a reasonable set of decisions are made, will have been made. So you're right, you know, if you take any slice in time, it seems like an unsolvable problem. And you really have to look at what my colleague calls the time-expanded decision network in order to understand what decisions have to be made every 2 or 3 months over the course of the next 3 or 4 years, and then it starts to make some sense. So in the first round of research Senate proposals, we tried to indicate that, you know, in this first round, do the best you can about these questions about, you know, how you help build the faculty at Skolkovo Tech, because we realize it's a difficult thing to describe. Now, on the second question, I would say that it's explicitly not my goal and strategy to try to rob all of the best professors from Moscow State University or any other great university in Russia. That we've now had 2 experiences which are very important. One is we created this program called Founding Faculty Fellows, who are all professors someplace, but are working with us part-time to help build Skolkovo Tech. In fact, we just had a meeting with them over the weekend. And it was great. It was like a regular faculty member meeting. Everybody argued. Nobody had the same opinion. You know, typical faculty. I'm sure that at Moscow State, everybody agrees amongst the faculty on important questions. So we built this group, this cadre of founding faculty fellows. We also have now had 2 rounds of faculty applications, with a total of over 400 applications received so far from around the world. So there's now actually some data to analyze. And the data is very clear that the vast majority, I would say 80 to 85% of the people expressing interest, at least initially, are actually overseas Russians. They're Russians who have been born in Russia, partially educated or completely educated in Russia, have gone and been successful in Cambridge or Caltech, and enough of them are of high quality who have a sincere interest in coming back and helping build and strengthen Russia, that I think this will be a very important source of faculty. So I'm actually not trying to drain from MSU. I'm trying to drain back and to attract these leading scholars from around the world. Then there'll be a small fraction, I would say, of people like myself, international scholars who are interested in doing something exceptional, come to a place like Skolkovo Tech. And there'll be some from MSU, FISTEC, you know, who choose to go and work with us. Now, on your second half of your second question, I would say that we intend, especially in the beginning, to think rather flexibly about appointments. You know, I actually studied utility theory and know that all utility curves are concave downward, right? Which is to say that after some point there's diminishing return of continued investment. And the way Roger Kornberg, the Nobel laureate who is the chair of the Scientific Advisory Committee of the Foundation, said this to me. He said, you know, Ed, I spend 9 months a year at Stanford. And I